Roadmap working group, and our group overall deals with something that tends to either excite people or make them slowly back up: climate finance. And but as we all know that climate action is basically a really passionate to-do list without finance. So just to give you a little bit of context, what is NCQG? NCQG is the new collective quantified goal. At COP29 in Baku last year, countries came along and agreed to a new climate finance target. This is basically the successor of the Paris Agreement $100 billion goal, which was more of a, I think, baseline instead of a target. So numbers, last year, $300 billion by 2035 is what was concluded at the end of the negotiations by the developed countries. And the rest of the funds, which is the total of $1.3 trillion by 2035, is supposed to be mobilized to a mix of private sector funds, MDBs, voluntary contributions. In other words, it's a bit like asking, the people most responsible for the mess to clean only part of it and hoping everyone else chips in for the rest. So again, what is Baku to Belém roadmap? At the end of the negotiations, COP29 launched this Baku to Belém roadmap. It is a consultation process that will run until COP30 in Brazil. It's not a negotiation, it's more of a climate finance planning session where they'll try to make spreadsheets match the science. So the major milestones are call for the next slide, please. These are the major milestones covered under Baku Development Roadmap. They called for submissions by March 25, which we have already submitted. You can check the UN website for that. And apart from that, we'll have the UNFCCC will have two consultations at SB62 in Bonn, which will be very crucial. And we are also going to organize one meeting before this conference takes place so that we can have all of your inputs and we can have a strategy well in advance. And then finally, the grand launch of the roadmap will happen in Belém at COP30. So what we try is to make sure that youth voices aren't just in the footnote, but part of the design. We try to be a part of these consultations. We try to put forward our inputs and hope that they take it into account. Next slide. So these are the key priorities that our subgroup has with regards to the Baku to Belém roadmap. We also included all of this as part of our submission to the UNFCCC. The first is, uh, I'll just walk you through all of them. Non-debt inducing finance is basically COP29 had recognized that many developing countries are already drowning in debt. So what we're asking that can we please not throw them another anchor? We are pushing for finance that comes in the forms of grants, concessional loans, and innovative loans, not more debt disguised as help. Developed countries must take the lead. The Paris Agreement has said it. COP29 has reaffirmed it, at least in principle, not in text, that developed countries must lead in providing climate finance. But with just $300 billion by 2035, it's less of a sprint and more of a cautious shuffle, so to say. And our role is to hold the mirror up and to make sure that those with historic responsibility also show historic leadership. We have also pushed for transparent tracking of this finance because although the NCQG decision has mandated a biennial transparency report, but tracking should not just mean cryptic Excel files, buried on obscure websites which nobody can open. We're pushing for accessible public-facing data that shows where the money is going and whether it is going to mitigation, adaptation, or loss and damage, and what it's actually achieving. We want to push for direct access to finance. The current system, makes it very easy to apply for a visa to Mars than to access climate finance as a local organization. So COP29 although has called for simplifying the process as one of our strategies and advocacy. We also echo that because closer the money is to the ground, the more impact it has. So it should be more accessible to local organizations and the vulnerable groups. And I think it goes without saying that the finance that is to be given should be rights-based and inclusive. This includes us, the youth. This includes women, indigenous people, and people with disabilities. So we believe that finance must not only be about the numbers, but also about dignity, justice, and inclusion attached with it. Next slide, please. So sorry, previous slide. I didn't know that this was the last slide. So in summary, I'll just conclude this. Our subgroup is making sure that the roadmap, which is to be finalized in COP30, is fair, transparent, and deeply grounded in justice. Because, like I said, NCQG should not be about just hitting a number. It's also about quality. It's also about who contributes, who controls it, and who it serves. So yeah, and regarding your participation in the subgroup, we have a WhatsApp group which you can join if you're part of the WhatsApp community, and we have regular calls before consultations and meetings that we have regarding a subgroup. Like I said, one will happen just before SB62, with this starting from 16 June. So I'm assuming a week before that we'll have a call. We try to keep the group active. So thank you, and we look forward to continuing this work with all of you on the road to Belém. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, you can reach out personally as well. We'll be open to that. But before I forget, Timon is also co-coordinator with this group. He could not join the call today.